Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yes, Benji, we can hear you.
Okay. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, boys and girls. I hope everyone is comfortable and ready for story time. Now, for those of you who have the book Journey with the Gurus, Volume 2, please turn to page 127. Now, have you ever wondered, have you ever thought, if Monday was more special than Tuesday, or if the month of February was more special than the month of March? Have you wondered? I have. Let's find out what Guruji tells the Pandits of Hardwar when they tell him that the river Ganga is the most special river. Guruji and Bhai Mardana spent many months traveling the countryside, spreading the message that we are children of one God and that God's light is in all of us. Often, they slept in the fields under the open night skies. One evening, Guruji said, "Mardana, tomorrow we should start walking towards Hardwar." "Really, Guruji? I've always wanted to go there." Let me check why I cannot move my PowerPoint here. Okay. "Really, Guruji, I've always wanted to go there. I've heard many people talk about the mountains and the beautiful valleys that surround it." "Guruji, is it true that Hardwar is the first town that the mighty river Ganga meets as it leaves the Himalayas?" Guruji smiled. "We'll soon find out, Mardana." The next morning, they started walking towards Hardwar. The countryside was beautiful. Bhai Mardana was thrilled to see miles and miles of sugarcane plantations along the way. They also walked through fields of wheat and barley as they gently were swaying in the soft wind. They even came across heaps of juicy cucumbers and melons that were growing wild on the sandy grounds along the Ganga River. Bhai Mardana just had to pick some. They stopped outside the city and ate their lunch overlooking the sparkling clear waters of the Ganga. "Let's rest here for the night," said Guruji. "We'll go into town tomorrow." Nothing could have pleased Bhai Mardana more. Early next morning, Guruji and Bhai Mardana walked into town. Bhai Mardana gasped, "Guruji, I've never seen so many people in one place in all my life. Why are they here?" "I think there's a festival in town. It looks like people from many places have come to take part in it." "Stay close to me, Mardana. I don't want you getting lost," said Guruji. "I'm right behind you, Guruji," replied Bhai Mardana, tightly clutching his bag and his rabab. Guruji walked straight to the banks of the river Ganga. He stood silently looking at the water. The sun was beginning to rise. The mist was disappearing, and everything could be seen. The river was full of Pandits, instructing people what rituals to perform. Some were dipping their heads into the water, while others were tossing flowers in the river. Some were even throwing water towards the sun. "Guruji, why are there so many people in the river, and why are they throwing water?" asked Bhai Mardana. "Wait here for me," replied Guruji, as he removed his clothes and walked into the river. Standing near a large group of people, he politely asked them, "Why are you throwing water towards the sun?" "Listen to me carefully. The waters of the river Ganga are pure and sacred. We are offering this pure water to our ancestors who are in the next world, which is in the east," replied one of the Pandits as he continued chanting prayers and throwing water upwards. How far are your ancestors? Asked Guruji thoughtfully. Oh, they are millions and billions of miles away, replied another Pandit. Ah, are you sure this water will reach them? Asked Guruji. Yes, of course, they all answered loudly. Guruji then started throwing handfuls of water in the opposite direction. The people around him looked puzzled and asked, What are you doing? Why are you offering water towards the west? Guruji did not say anything. He just continued throwing water towards the east. A young-looking Pandit came up to Guruji and held Guruji's hand in great anger. The water is to be thrown only towards the east where the sun is. Only then it will reach your ancestors. You're being foolish to throw water towards the west, he shouted at Guruji. An elderly Pandit gently said to Guruji, Don't worry, I know you didn't mean to make a mistake. Now just pour this pure water over your head. Your sins will be washed away and you will be forgiven. But from now on, don't throw water towards the west. It's of no use. The people standing around looked angrily at Guruji. Please don't be angry with me, replied Guruji calmly, as he continued throwing water. I'm sending water to my fields in Punjab that are in the west. It hasn't rained for days and my crops need water. Everyone stopped whatever they were doing and started laughing loudly. What a simple man he is, said one of them. It doesn't look like he is very intelligent, said another, shaking his head. The water of the Ganga is falling back into the river, and he thinks it is reaching his fields. I feel sorry for him, said yet another man, laughing hard. Beta, don't tire your hands. This water cannot reach your fields in Punjab, said the elderly Pandit kindly. Guruji looked surprised. Why can't this water reach my fields? If this water can reach your ancestors, who are millions and billions of miles away, then surely it can reach my fields that are only a few hundred miles away, he asked. Suddenly, everyone became quiet. The Pandits looked at each other in amazement. The people stopped throwing the water and waited to hear what the Pandits would say. The younger-looking Pandit spoke. This water will reach our ancestors, and we must do this ritual to keep them happy. Why are you questioning our ways? But Panditji, if this water cannot reach this man's fields that are only a few hundred miles away, then how can it reach the sun, which is millions and billions of miles away? Asked a man standing near Guruji. Ordinary people like you cannot understand or perform our rituals and prayers, said the elderly Pandit kindly. Young man, we have been following these traditions for centuries. One of the ways we take care of our ancestors is by offering them this pure water from the Ganga River. This is our way of life. This is our religion. Everyone was listening carefully what Panditji was saying. Some were nodding their heads in agreement. Panditji, the way to take care of the elders is by loving and respecting them while they are alive. When people die, they do not need anything from us. We cannot send them anything after they have left this world. We can only honor their memory by doing good deeds. In this way, We bring glory to their name, replied Guruji politely. He then walked out of the river and sat near the water's edge. This man is right, said someone. I think he's very wise, added another softly, as he followed Guruji onto the river bank. The younger Pandit scowled and turned his back on Guruji. The elderly Pandit, along with a lot of other men, got out of the river and sat around Guruji. One of the men said, "My name is Kishori Lal. I've come all the way from Sindh to wash off my sins. My Pandit also tells me to offer the sacred water of the Ganga to my ancestors and to perform a special havan in their memory while I was here. I've even bought wheat, rice, and ghee for the ceremony. But now I'm confused. Please tell me what I should do." All rivers are sacred. All water is pure. No one river is more sacred or special than another. Bathing in any river cannot wash off your sins. Water can clean your body, but it cannot clean your mind. Putting wheat, rice, and ghee in a havan is useless. Think about distributing this food to the needy people instead, replied Guruji lovingly. I will do as you have said, replied Kishori Lal. What can clean my mind? Asked the elderly Pandit. Remembering God in whatever you do, earning money in an honest way, and sharing it with those who have less than you, being kind and helpful to everyone. If you live in this way, your thoughts will always be right and good, and your mind will be clean, replied Guruji lovingly. Everyone was listening very carefully to Guruji's every word. The elderly Pandit got up and bowed before Guruji and said, "Please accept me as your disciple." "Being my disciple is both difficult and easy," replied Guruji. "You have to give away all the money you have collected dishonestly. Also, from now onwards, you have to start earning your living honestly. Are you prepared to do that?" "Yes," replied Panditji eagerly. "I have much to learn from you. Please stay with me while you are here." So Guruji and Bhai Mardana stayed at Hardwar for a few months. People from towns near and far started coming to listen to Guruji's message, and many, many became his Sikhs. That's the end of chapter 7. So I want you to think about what Guruji has said. Just let's reflect. Are all rituals bad? Think about it. Is brushing your teeth bad? Is combing your hair bad? So what rituals shouldn't we do? I also want you to think about the way Guruji spoke to the Pandits. You know, he was talking to them kindly, and he used humor. Have you used humor to make a point? Have you used humor to teach your younger brother or sister in explaining them or teaching them the alphabets or something else? I want to hear from you. And then also Guruji talked about the 3 core principles of SikhRI: Naam Japna, Kirt Karni, and Van Chapna. And then I wanted you to think about, what does SikhRI say about pilgrimage? What is pilgrimage? Can somebody tell me that? So Jasmine, tell me, what do you
Boys
think
and
about
girls.
pilgrimage?
Well, you know what, Inni Banji? I was thinking mostly when we think about pilgrimage, I think people go on pilgrimages because they want to get something out of it. Kind of like maybe they want to make sure that if they go to a place that their religion tells them to go, that maybe they'll get a seat in heaven. But in SikhRI, we don't go to places because we'll get a place in heaven. Or we don't go to places because maybe by going there we'll automatically become rich. But we go to special places like Harmandir Sahib or other Gurdwaras because there was something very special that happened there. We have a lot of history that happened there. So for us, it's a reminder that just the way our Guru Sahibs and all the Sikhs of the time, they struggled for things and they worked hard, it's a reminder that these places are those places where all these things happened, and it gives us strength to be stronger Sikhs. It gives us a lot of strength to do a lot of different things. So that's what I kind of think about pilgrimage, especially when we're thinking from a Sikh perspective. I do have a comment from Inni Kaur and Dayal Singh. It says, all rituals are not bad. It just depends on your religion and what you believe in. Inni Banji, that's what you were saying too, right, earlier? That all rituals are not bad. So in SikhRI, what is a ritual? Let's think of one ritual that we do maybe in the Gurdwara. Is matha taking like a ritual maybe? Probably, because every single time we go to the Gurdwara, we matha take. But what is the reasoning for us to matha take? Why are we going to matha take? Aha, are all your minds thinking? What is the reason? I think some of you are thinking, oh, because we're showing respect to Guruji. Yeah, probably, that's one thing. Oh, because our mommies and daddies told us to, and that's what we've been doing since we were babies. Are some of you thinking that? Probably. And I'm sure some of you are also thinking this, that the reason why we matha take, the reason why we do the ritual of matha taking is because we are giving up our minds to Guruji, and we're saying, Guruji, can you help us understand the teachings of how to be a good person? And where are those teachings coming from? Who is our Guru Sahib for us? That's right. Guru Granth Sahib Ji is going to give us all those teachings. In the act of matha taking, you put your whole body down, you put your head down. That is such a humble, kind thing to do. But if you're not thinking about that, if you're not remembering that the reason why we're doing this is because we're being kind and humble, then maybe that ritual doesn't make sense. So our goal is to try to think of what we're doing and why we are doing it, right? Okay.
I like that answer, Jasmine. That is very, very good.
Thank you. I have another comment from someone. I have a Jyoti Kaur. Jyoti is asking if she can comment. Jyoti, yes, please comment either in the chat panel or the question panel. So we're going to wait for a comment from Jyoti. Anyone else, if you have any questions for Inni Banji or for myself, or if you have a comment, is there something about the story that you really liked and you started thinking about it? We would love to hear about that.
So Jasmine, let me ask you, is when Guruji says the water, when the Pandits told Guruji the water is sacred, so tell me, what did the Pandits mean by is the water sacred, and was Guruji saying, no, all rivers are sacred? What does that mean? Can you tell me?
Well, let's see. You know how Guruji always tells us or always reminds us that Ikonkar is in everyone, that Vaheguru is in everyone? So I think what he was trying to explain to us was, how is it that one thing can be more sacred than another thing, right? All the water is the same, and it comes from the same source. So how is it that one water is sacred, but the other is either not sacred or just it doesn't matter? It kind of didn't make sense to him. And I think it doesn't make sense to us either, right? That why would it be sacred? You know, just because someone did something over there is sacred? Maybe it's special, but it's not sacred because that doesn't make it any better than the next thing, right? Inni Benji? Is that what he was thinking,
Yes,
you think?
I think maybe, yeah, because everything is created by Vaheguru. That's the way I looked at it. So if everything was created by Vaheguru, so everything is the same. It's how we look at life and how we do things, right?
Right.
So if we really pollute all our rivers or one particular river by throwing everything in it, that pure water, that water which Vaheguru gave us, has become dirty because we put all that in there, right?
That's right. So, for example, Hazuri and Nivaz Kaur are saying, Guruji is saying there is love in everything. And Noor and Dayal are telling us that everything is equal, all are equal.
Wow, great answers, great comments. I mean, there's
Yes.
love in everything. That is beautiful. And everybody is equal. Bravo, Noor and Dayal.
Good job, yes. Okay, and our comment from Jyoti is, I'm trying to read this. Okay, she says, okay, I believe pilgrimage doesn't exist in Sikhism from what I understand in reading Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Is not our pilgrimage Nam Japna, meditating on him? Yes, I think that's a great thought, Jyoti, that when we are thinking of pilgrimage, we don't have to think about going somewhere. We have to think about using our mind and really concentrating and really thinking of remembering Vaheguru. Now, when we say Nam Japna, what do you guys think? Does Nam Japna mean that we just sit down and we just say Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru all the time and don't do anything else? I don't think Guruji was thinking that. I think Guruji was probably thinking that in anything that we do, we always have to remember that Vaheguru is with us. And we always have to remember that by helping us remember what the qualities of Vaheguru are, that's the way, by acting on the way and taking on the qualities of what Vaheguru's qualities are, if we act like that, that in itself is Nam Japna as well. So I think that's a really good point, that we don't have to go anywhere, and we don't have to, the pilgrimage should be within our hearts. I have another question. Okay, oh, actually, first I have a comment from Noor and Dayal, and they say, Nam Japna is not only to do Path, but to understand it and making it our living. Absolutely. Okay, we have another question. And the question is, I have a question, please. Why do some people then find bathing in Sri Harmandir Sahib more sacred than bathing anywhere else? This is Balkaur from UK. Did a few others have this question too? I think probably a lot of people were thinking this. And it's similar to what we said earlier, right? That it's not really that bathing in Harmandir Sahib Sarovar is more sacred. It's the fact that going to Harmandir Sahib and realizing the history that is behind it is so important to us. And bathing in there is just an opportunity that to get ourselves, cleaned up. Not inside, just like Guruji said, that no water is going to clean your mind. Yeah, it'll clean your body because, that's what water does. And you use a little soap and it cleans it even better. But to clean your mind, what happens is perhaps is when we go to Harmandir Sahib, we remember all the historical struggles that our Guru Sahibs did. And our mind says, you know what? We are so glad to hear that, we're so glad that we know about what our Guru Sahibs struggled through, and that's what's going to make me stronger. And that's what's going to cleanse my mind. That's what's going to keep my mind wanting to do good things. That's what's going to want to keep my mind clean. So we don't have to take a bath in the water to clean ourselves, but we have to take a bath in Gurbani. And sometimes that sounds funny, right? Oh, how can you take a bath in Gurbani? It doesn't mean that you take Gurbani and you put it all over yourself. It means that you have to listen to Gurbani. You have to recite Gurbani. It means you have to understand it. You have to see, oh, what is Gurbani saying? Is Gurbani reminding us that, oh, all individuals are equal because all individuals have a very special divine light in them, the light of Ik Onkar. So if I have the light of Ik Onkar in me, the Pandit also has the light of Ik Onkar in him. So it's not good for me to say, be mean to him, but it's okay for me to have a conversation with him and explain to him and remind him that all of us have the same light within us. Is that helpful? Is that interesting to people?
Jasmine, I was really, was surprised how Guruji very calmly answered the Pandits back. He didn't get angry with them. I mean, they were angry at him, but Guruji wasn't angry at them.
That's right.
So what does that tell? What does that tell me? So when somebody doesn't agree with me, should I get angry with them, or should I explain it to them in a calm way? So tell me, Jasmine, what I should do.
I think if I look at what Guruji did, then that kind of reminds me that I should say it in a calm way. But what happens is that maybe because I don't always keep remembering that everyone has the same light in them, that I forget. Because I forget that, I tend to get more angry than stay calm. So this is it's like a game of practice, 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 right? If we kind of play this game and say every time, if you keep telling yourself, every time someone irritates me, I have to make sure I can stay calm, and I have to make sure that I talk kindly to them. And, a few other things that can help with this is if we remember to read Gurbani and try to understand Gurbani. This is going to help us too. But in order for us to read Gurbani, we have to make sure we learn how to read Gurmukhi, and we learn how to talk with our parents so that they can kind of help us and share with us too. And all the other things as well. Hirat Kadni, right? If we are a child, then our job is to make sure that we go to school and we learn and we're being honest while we're over there. If we're an adult, it's our job to go to our job and make sure that whatever we're doing, whether it's in a business, whether it's in a job, whether we're working with an organization, that we need to make sure that we're honest and we're not cheating anyone. That's what it means to be working hard and honestly, right? And then the other thing is vanchakna. When we make sure that whatever we get, you know how we first kind of eat and we use our money and all that, and then we say, okay, now I have some leftover money, so I'm going to give it to people. Well, if we really look at what it's saying, vand means to give. So vand is coming before chakna, and chakna means to eat. So Guru Sahib is kind of saying to us, you know what, when you get your money, make sure that you share it with people first who need it. Share it with needy people. And then if you have leftover, make sure you take care of yourself also. Don't forget to take care of yourself. But you know what? There are always maybe more people than who are needy than you. So if we are able to kind of remember these three things of Nam Japna and Kirat Karni and Vanchakna, then Inni Auntie, I think automatically my mind kind of tells me that if I'm angry with someone someday, that, you know, I'm going to stay calm. But if I forget about all these things and I'm always focused on how I want to be the best and I'm going to get everything and everything has to be for me, that's when, you know, I forget these things and I can become angry very easily. What do you think,
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay, looks like we have a few more comments. Let me see the idea. Okay. There's a comment from Gitanjali. Let me just make sure that is in fact the right name I'm reading. Yes, from Gitanjali. There's a comment and a question in it, and it says the idea of immersion, whether in Gurbani or the waters of Harmandir, etc., is powerful. It's a bit like the language learning. So this could be a way of learning a new spiritual language. Gitanjali ji, do you have a microphone? Would you like to expand on that a little bit for us? If you do, I can unmute you. Oh, she doesn't have a microphone. So are you saying that in anything that we do, if we're learning Gurbani or if we are going to Harmandir Sahib and visiting it and also taking in Shnan in the Sarovar, it's kind of like we're learning something new. Is that the goal? I think that's what yes, she said yes. So that's what she was trying to explain to us, that in doing all these things, it's like learning new things, like a new language, for example. Excellent. Do we have any other questions or comments or thoughts? Does anyone want to share what the favorite part of the saakhi was? I think people are probably thinking. Gurcharan Singh ji just said that he was thankful for us sharing the webinar. And then he says, okay, Okay, Rupinder Kaur has a comment. Let me, if you guys can hang on for 1 minute. For some reason, the question panel is very small, so I have to read bits and pieces. There we go. Okay, let me see. I have a continued comment from, okay, I have a comment from Rupinder Kaur. And she says, the concept of pilgrimage, according to me, reflects differentiating between places in the same way the caste system differentiates between people and society. In Sikhism, we believe in a way of life. Sikhism was born on the basis that all castes and creeds are equal. One goes to pilgrimage when one knows that his or her way of life was not right, or now they want a safe corner. When rich and poor, old and young all sit together and eat the same food, respect each individual irrespective of caste or creed, one does not need to go to pilgrimage. It is a mental refuge. So I think what Rupinder Kaur is saying is that our Guru Sahibs, they were very smart. They were showing us practical ways to make sure that we are not looking for getting saved. They were showing us practical ways to live our life in a good way, like making sure that everyone is equal. But you're not supposed to just know everyone is equal. You have to act in that way. So therefore, they had us all sit for longer together. It didn't matter if you were a rich king. It didn't matter if you were a beggar. If you came to the Guru's court, you came together to sit together, listen to Gurbani, and also partake in langar. Okay. Jyoti Singh says that when we asked about, what was her favorite part about the saakhi, she says the humor and gentleness in the way Guruji teaches was eye-opening. And then she continues on, and for her, she said, it reminded her of how Jesus is portrayed. Makes me think that we are all one spirit, the Gurus and all other spiritual masters. Well, I think, like Guru Sahib has already told us, everyone has the same light. The way certain people teach, the way certain people act, may be a little different, but everyone has the same light. And if the message is that we have to recognize that light, we have to recognize the Ikonkar inside of us, and we have to make sure that we understand that the qualities of our Vaheguru are that of fearlessness and no enemies and a kind, nice Vaheguru that we want to be like, then yeah, I think that's a very important thing for all of us to remember. It looks like we don't have any more questions or comments. If Inni Penji, would you like to make any closing remarks, and then we can wrap up the presentation. And when I turn off the webinar, you'll get a feedback form to fill out. So if you would be able to do that, everyone would be able to do that. That would be great. So Inni Penji, I'm going to give it to you for any closing remarks, and then I am going to just say goodbye and fateh, and then I will turn off the feedback session.
You know, boys and girls, when I write the stories, when I write these stories, when I read these stories in our saakhis, I'm always amazed how kind Guruji was. how gentle he was with all of us. He didn't go and say, you will do this and you will do that. It's always amazed me. He sat with the people. He explained to them lovingly and kindly. Some people agreed with his thoughts and became his Sikhs, and some didn't. And the ones that didn't, he didn't get angry with them or upset with them. It was just the way he explained it. And the second part of it was, if you saw the map, I want to take you back to the map. He walked so many places. He must have been very, very strong to have walked all over. Take a look at all the places he walked. Those two things in the story really amazed me. You know, he went to Hardwar, which even if you go, is very much there. And but to walk in those days, all those places, what does that tell me? Was Guruji really, he must have really believed in that message, right? And must have been very strong and fearless to have walked all those places, keeping in mind there were no trains, buses, planes, or anything of that sort. What strength must have he had within him? So those are my thoughts when I'm working, when I was writing the story and I was working with the story, is that, oh, I wish I could tell the children. Maybe they will understand through this story how far Guruji walked, how kind he was that he helped everyone, and how gently, very, very gently, he explained to the Pandits that this was not the way to do it. Because if you want to be clean, if you want to clean your mind, if you want to reach Waheguru, if you want to experience that Waheguru, that Ikunkar, then there is a different way of being kind to everyone, of accepting everyone as equal. And that's what we need to do. If there's anything you need to do, your friends, treat your friends, and even the people who you don't like, kindly. That's all I have to say, Jasmine. I hope you all enjoyed the story, and let me know if there was a part which you did not, if you were confused with or it was not clear. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Jasmine, to you.
Thank you, Inni Auntie, and I'm sure everyone really enjoyed listening to the story. And as all of you know, that you can always buy Inni Auntie's books. Right now she has 2 books, and a third one is coming out. So if you don't have the book already, you can get it at www.journeywiththegurus.com. And you can order it there. Once again, thank you all for coming to the webinar on a Saturday afternoon. Hopefully it was relaxing, and hopefully it's going to give you some things to think about. And when you go to Gurdwara later today maybe or tomorrow, you can think about some of the things of how Guru Sahib acted and how we can act like him too, being kind and gentle. So thank you very much. I am going to shut down the webinar, and please, if you yourselves can fill out the form, if your children on the webinar, please do that. Or if you can have your parents fill it out for you, that would be great too. And any adults, please make sure that you fill it out and share your feedback with us. Thank you very much. And if you do want to ever sponsor another webinar like this or with a topic of interest to you, please do write to us at info@sikhri.org. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.